unusual courage. Jim just could feel the prayers. He was strong, courageous, loving to the end. I mean, we just hardly recognized our little boy. I mean, he was just a hero.
And
you know.
And you know from the videos, his last words were, "I wish I had more time to see my family."
So Jim had a big heart, and you know, that's what we shared with President Obama. You know, we just pray that Jim's death can bring our country together in a stronger way, and with the values that Jim held dear. Held dear. Sir, Jim would never want us to hate or be bitter, and we cannot do that. And so we are just very proud of Jimmy, and we are praying for the strength to love like he did, and to stay courageous and to keep fighting for all the people that he was fighting for, and again to pray for mercy for the remaining American hostages.
Do you have a message for the people behind Jim's death?
We beg compassion.
And mercy.
We beg compassion and mercy of Jim's captors, for Stephen Sotloff, and for the other captors. We just beg mercy. They never hurt anybody. They were trying to help. And there's no reason for their slaughter.
Jim was just innocent, and they knew it. They knew that Jim was just a symbol for our country. And it's that hatred that Jim was against. Jim was there to hear the truth and bear witness to the love and the suffering, the hopes of the people to be free, like we are. And they knew that.
So we've done this before. So let her rip.
In the speech that he was forced to give, he mentioned his brother in the airport.
In the what?
His
Yeah.
brother in the airport. How old is that brother?
You know, I mean, all the brothers. I mean, Jim was the oldest. Jim was just so loved. I mean, he was the big brother. And one of the reasons he was drawn to conflict journalism was because of his brothers in the military. He, as a matter of fact, one of his first assignments was in Afghanistan, where his Air Force brother was stationed at the time. And so I think Jim wanted to be there. He wanted to be there where John was. He wanted to cover what was happening at the human level. So
actually, before that, he was with the Indiana National Guard in Iraq. It was the largest single state contingent sent, and he was able to write articles that would humanize the soldiers, and actually were sent back to their local newspapers. And the parents of these soldiers were so grateful because they had some news about their children. And again, there was a humanizing nature of Jimmy. Yes, there's a war. Yes, there's conflict, but there are people involved, you know, and there are feelings involved, and there's sacrifice involved. And he felt that was worth sharing, and I couldn't agree more.
Your other son is also in the military, right?
Pardon?
Your other son is also in the military.
we have
Three.
We had 4 sons. We have 3 sons. Michael's the second oldest. The other 2 are in the military. And one of the things
We have a Navy nurse also.
and we have a Navy nurse, but
She's not a son.
to speak to John in the Air Force, his little girl said to me this morning, Mimi, when I heard about Uncle Jim, my heart was broken. And that's
She's 5.
she's, yeah.
It was 7
She's
yesterday.
7.
7, I'm sorry.
7.
She's got a lot of children.
She's feels, but when she, you know, that just expressed that we all, you know,
Her name is
Rory, R-O-R-I, and she said it all.
Could you all talk a little bit about his decision? Obviously, it was a very difficult time for your family when he was in captivity previously. About his decision to go back and those conversations that you had. I mean, was he just felt that this was really his mission to go back there, and was that hard for you all?
Oh, absolutely. I think it made some of the siblings mad. understandably. I mean, Michael led the charge when he was in Libya tirelessly to get do everything he could to get him out. So there were many emotions coming out. You know, some of the siblings were angry. How could you do this to us? You know, we were taking it personally. And, you know, we just tried to talk to him about, you know, Jim, you have so many gifts. Why are you doing this?
We were at the point of considering fundraising / ransom prior to Jimmy's death. And we were making a video, which I'm sure is going to come out. It's a video of all of Jimmy's experiences and all the people, many of the people whose lives he's touched. And that's going to continue no matter despite his death. But one of the comments from one of the experts actually was the person who runs CPJ.
Joel Simon.
Joel Simons, thank you. Please get that right. Joel said, you know, well, when asked, you know, why did he go back, and the answer was, well, why do firemen keep going back into the blazing homes? Because it's their job. And he felt this was his job. This was his passion. So he's not crazy. He was not crazy. He was motivated by what he thought was doing the right thing, and which gave him energy to continue, despite the risk.
Yeah,
you know?
one time I remember right in our kitchen, I said, Jim, honey, you have so many gifts. I mean, you can do so many things. Why go back and do this? He said, Mom, I found my passion. I found my vocation. I mean, he just felt compelled.
Where did that come from? I mean, did you have a hint of that when he was growing up, or, you know,
Came
what
from
his
his mother.
interests were?
I don't know where it came. Jim was a fun-loving, very, you know, daring, but fun-loving kid.
He was always a listener, and just couldn't detach from other people's lives. He was part of their life. When you told him your story, he was there. He was there for you, with you, whatever else, you know.
It's been a long wait. You have been, aside from coverage from the press, so gracious in your sharing your worries and your prayers for Jim. And now here we are, 21 months later. It's been a long journey. How are you bearing up? How are you as a family finding your strength?
We're in the moment.
Well, we are. We're in the moment, but you know, every time we started to get despondent over these 2 years, we thought of Jim. I mean, we thought of Jim and his courage, and in the midst of his suffering, he was helping the other prisoners. I mean, there were a couple of much younger people in that cell. Jim was one of the older ones, and he would sometimes just hold one of them, we're told, you know, who was struggling so. When Jim could do that, you know, somehow we needed the strength. So we just prayed to God for the strength, and thanks to so many prayers. I mean, God has given us so many prayers, you know. But we continue to feel weak, and we just pray that we can be as strong as He.
It's difficult to find solace at this point in time, but we know Jimmy's free. He's finally free, and we know he's in God's hands, and we know God's work, and we know he's in heaven. So we're so proud of him. We have to be happy for him.
We're the ones that.
We need the courage and the prayers now to continue without him. Because he was an inspiration for us and for so many others. So we miss his courage, his love, his determination, his laugh, his smile.
He brought so much joy into this family. He's such a fun-loving.
He was never on time, always late. And so whenever we were expecting him was never the right time. But we always said, well, Jimmy's coming, it's just a little late, you know, so it's just.
Because he would run into a friend or run into a colleague or someone who needed his time, And Jim was about the present, and you know, so he would take care of the present. Jim was very deliberate about that, and we knew that about him. So, but prayer has definitely sustained us. We have so many good people. I mean, our Catholic community, so many priests, just friends would call, offer prayer, and then just friends, family, our dear family. Everyone's praying and praying.
I'm a physician, and so many of my people in my practice would tell me how their prayer groups, their churches, etc., were praying for Jim. People whom we never knew,
didn't even know.
never knew. It sustained us. We really had nothing for so long until the hostages were released in.
Well, we didn't have any information. Yeah, we really started to get information when the Europeans started to be released in the spring. But we had some eyewitness reports last fall that we knew he was alive. The other thing I want to mention, though, is that Jim, because of he was an incredible friend. So we had this also huge support system, the FOJs, Friends of Jim, who just were tireless. I mean, they helped
all over the country.
Yeah, and world. Wow. I mean, they helped us put on Freedom of the Press Day 2 years ago, May, right after he was captured. They've helped us, like as John said, they've been trying to help us do a video and trying to figure out what are the individual way we can get them out, maybe fundraising, what can we do, you know, and they were just there for us all the time, you know, all the time.
Did it ever feel close? Like maybe there was a point where...
Oh, it's been very close. I just got back from France and Denmark. We thought we had a way forward.
Do you think the U.S. did enough to try and save him?
We have no idea, because most of it was classified. We have no idea. They listened to us anytime we asked. You know, the FBI was in touch often.
But I hope they do more for Stephen.
Yes.
The answer is no. I hope they do more for Stephen. That's my opinion.
Wait, why do you think no?
Well,
He's not
because
home.
That's right. There's more that can be done. There's more that can be done. The footprint's been laid by some of the other nations. There's more that can be done.
You mentioned you expressed your desires to the president of what you'd like to see happen next. Were you satisfied with the response he gave you?
Yeah, I think he's doing the best he can in the current circumstances. Would I do something differently? Maybe. You know, I don't see the whole picture. I would like to say that I would. All I'm saying is what we've been doing to date has not been
It wasn't enough. And
Didn't
yes,
save
they were
Jimmy.
trying.
We don't know if it's going to save Stephen or any of the other people. So
I pray that it'll challenge our government to look deeply within and find a way to protect courageous Americans, you know, humanitarian workers, journalists who do this, who dare to go in where they know that there's a chance that they can be killed or captured. So we just pray for that.
The Syrian environment has been the highest. There has been the highest level of kidnapping among journalists in the history of journalism. So, I mean, we're asking for news. We want news, but we have to support the people who do that. And I think, in all honesty, I think the European countries do a better job of that. France and Spain revere their journalists, and the outcome is obvious. You know, I think that we take journalists for granted sometimes. They particularly freelance people, they risk their lives. They have no resources, no protection. It's not a major network. The honest truth is they stay longer in their environment, so they get better stories. But we really have not enough regard for the people who do this work. It's just not enough, you know.
I remember when our two military sons were going to, were being deployed. And I remember being physically sick the whole time our first son was deployed in Afghanistan. And it turns out that it was really Jim in his work that was in much more danger. I mean, and I didn't even realize that. I mean, I really didn't even get that he was out there without anybody.
Pencil and a flak jacket.
Yeah.
That's what he had, and a helmet.
So it's taken us a while to really recognize that, you know, and recognize who he was. I think he was too close to us. I don't think we realized what a courageous humanitarian he was.
What would you tell the families of Stephen or the other captives there?
We've already talked to them at length. We know them. We
Work with him, yeah.
In light of what happened.
well, we told them we would do we asked them what they wanted us to say on their behalf.
Oh, really?
And, you know, the Salt Loves asked that we beg for Stephen's life, and we did, and will continue to do that. And the other two asked for them to stay anonymous. They fear if they're revealed that they might be even more danger. So we respect that too.
Is it Mike?